Hello friends, today I'm going to read you one of my favorites, chrysanthemum. That is a tough word to say. It is actually a type of flower, and in this book it's about this little girl's name, chrysanthemum. And you know what I was just noticing is I've already read the book Wemberly Worries, if you've watched that video. And if you look, this is Wemberly and this is chrysanthemum. They look very much alike, don't they? How cool is that? That is because the same person drew the pictures. The person who draws the pictures for a book is called the illustrator. So these books have the same illustrator. And with this book, the same person who drew the pictures also wrote the words. And the person who writes the words is called the author. But I thought it was really cool that we could see that the pictures were pretty close to the same thing. All right, here we go. Chrysanthemum. The day she was born was the happiest day in her parents' lives. She's perfect, said her mother. Absolutely, said her father. And she was. She was absolutely perfect. Her name must be everything she is, said her mother. Her name must be absolutely perfect, said her father. And it was, Chrysanthemum. Her parents called her Chrysanthemum. Chrysanthemum grew and grew and grew, and when she was old enough to appreciate it, Chrysanthemum loved her name. It is a very tricky name to say. Can you try saying it right now? Chrysanthemum. Chrysanthemum. That's a mouthful, but it's so beautiful. She loved the way it sounded when her mother woke her up. She loved the way it sounded when her father called her for dinner. She loved the way it sounded when she whispered it to herself alone in the bathroom mirror. Chrysanthemum, chrysanthemum, chrysanthemum. Chrysanthemum loved the way her name looked when it was written with ink on an envelope. She loved the way it looked when it was written in icing on her birthday cake. And she loved the way it looked when she wrote it herself with a big, fat orange crayon. Chrysanthemum, chrysanthemum, chrysanthemum. You can see how long her name is. And when we sit down, when we get to school in the morning, we use our orange strips and our name tags and we practice our names, right? Chrysanthemum is a really long name to write. That's a lot of practice. Chrysanthemum thought her name was absolutely perfect. And then she started school. On the first day, Chrysanthemum wore her sunniest dress, her biggest smile, and she ran all the way. Hooray, said Chrysanthemum, school! But when Mrs. Chud took roll call, everyone giggled upon hearing Chrysanthemum's name. Oh, that's not very nice at all. I'll read you some of the other kids' names. There's Dawn, Eve, Louis, Al, Les, Kay, Max, Sue, Bill, Tom, Sam, Ken, Joe, Rita, Victoria, and Chrysanthemum. Here's the whole class. Everybody's names. Everybody has a different name, right? It's so long, said Joe. It scarcely fits on your name tag, said Rita, pointing. I'm named after my grandmother, said Victoria. You're named after a flower. Chrysanthemum wilted. She did not think her name was absolutely perfect. She thought it was absolutely dreadful. The rest of the day was not much better. During nap time, Victoria raised her hand and informed Mrs. Chud that Chrysanthemum's name was spelled with 13 letters. That's exactly half as many letters that are in the entire alphabet, Victoria explained. Thank you for sharing that with us, Victoria, said Mrs. Chud. Now put your head down. So that's a quiet time. We have quiet time at school, don't we? See how they have mats that look just like ours? They're all doing a nice job, just resting. Probably not sleeping, just resting. Because it's important to rest your body, isn't it? It's important, the things we need to do for our body. We need to eat healthy food. We need to drink water. We need to exercise and we need to rest our bodies. Those are 4 things your body always needs. Food, water, exercise, rest. You need those things. It's very important to keep you healthy. If I had a name like yours, I'd change it, Victoria said, as soon as she lined up to go home. I wish I could, thought Chrysanthemum miserably. Welcome home, said her mother. Welcome home, said her father. School is no place for me, said Chrysanthemum. My name is too long. It scarcely fits on my name tag, and I'm named after a flower. Oh, pish, said her mother. Your name is beautiful and precious and priceless and fascinating and winsome, said her father. It's everything you are, said her mother. Absolutely perfect, said her father. Chrysanthemum is feeling really bad because her friends were not very kind to her. They said some really mean things to her and made her really sad about her name. Chrysanthemum felt much better after her favorite dinner, macaroni and cheese with ketchup, and an evening filled with hugs and kisses and parcheesi. That night, Chrysanthemum dreamed that her name was Jane. It was an extremely pleasant dream. Macaroni and cheese and ketchup. Ugh. Do you like macaroni and cheese and ketchup? I don't like ketchup. Lots of people like ketchup, but I just don't like ketchup. But everybody's tastes are different, right? Everybody likes different foods, just like everybody has different names, right? It's just one of the things that makes me me. In my house, my family knows Mom doesn't like ketchup. The next morning, Chrysanthemum wore her most comfortable jumper. She walked to school as slowly as she could. She dragged her feet in the dirt. Chrysanthemum, 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 she wrote. She even looks like a flower, said Victoria as Chrysanthemum entered the playground. Let's pick her, said Rita, pointing. Let's smell her, said Joe. Chrysanthemum wilted. She did not think her name was absolutely perfect. She thought it was absolutely dreadful. All of those friends are saying super hurtful things to Chrysanthemum. Look at her face. She is so sad. It is not kind. If you hear somebody saying something very unkind to your friend, what can you do? You can tell them, that's not very kind. Can you please stop? You can defend your friend. You can be there for them. Or you can take your friend by the hand and say, let's go play somewhere else. And if you really need help, you can always come find a teacher and let us know that somebody's not being kind, and we'll come help. Because what's one of our cool rules? If somebody's feelings get hurt, we make it better, right? The rest of the day was not much better. During nap time, Victoria raised her hand and said, a chrysanthemum is a flower. It lives in a garden with worms and other dirty things. Thank you for sharing that with us, Victoria, said Mrs. Chudd. Now put your head down. I just cannot believe your name, Victoria said as the students lined up to go home. Neither can I, thought Chrysanthemum miserably. There they are, picking on her at rest time again. It's really not nice. I feel so sad for Chrysanthemum. I wish somebody would help make her feel better. Welcome home, said Mother. Welcome home, said Father. School is no place for me, said Chrysanthemum. They said I even look like a flower. Then they pretended to pick me and smell me. Oh, pish, said her mother. They're just jealous and envious and begrudging and discontented and jaundiced, said her father. Who wouldn't be jealous of a name like yours? After all, it is absolutely perfect. Chrysanthemum felt a trifle better after her favorite dessert, chocolate cake with buttercream frosting, and another evening filled with hugs and kisses and parcheesi. Now, I might not like macaroni and cheese and ketchup, but I could totally have a piece of chocolate cake with some buttercream frosting. That sounds delish. That night, Chrysanthemum dreamed that she was really a chrysanthemum. She sprouted leaves and petals. Victoria plucked her leaves and petals one by one until there was nothing left but a scrawny stem. It was the worst nightmare of Chrysanthemum's life. Chrysanthemum wore her outfit with 7 pockets the next morning. She loaded the pockets with her most prized possessions and her good luck charms. Chrysanthemum took the longest route possible to school. She stopped and stared at each flower. Chrysanthemum, 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 the flowers seemed to say. So there's her scary nightmare with Victoria picking the petals and the leaves. It does look kind of scary. She is walking to school. I hope Chrysanthemum has a better day at school today. Do you hope Chrysanthemum has a better day at school today? I really hope so. That morning, the students were introduced to Mrs. Twinkle, the music teacher. Her voice was like something out of a dream, as was everything else about her. The students were just speechless. They thought Mrs. Twinkle was an incredible wonder. They went way out of their way to make a nice impression. Mrs. Twinkle led the students in scales. Then she assigned roles for the musical. Victoria was chosen as the dainty fairy queen. Rita was chosen as the spiffy butterfly princess. Jo was chosen as the all-important pixie messenger. And Chrysanthemum was chosen as a daisy. There she is. She looks like she's singing because she's the music teacher. And they're going to be in a musical. Do you know what a musical is? Do you know why Miss Kelley's singing like a crazy person? A musical is when somebody acts out a play or acts out a story, and while they're acting out the story, they sing at the same time. It's really fun. Chrysanthemum's a daisy. Ah, Chrysanthemum's a daisy. Jo and Rita chanted, thinking it was wildly funny. Chrysanthemum wilted. She did not think her name was absolutely perfect. She thought it was absolutely dreadful. Why, what's so humorous? Said Mrs. Twinkle. Chrysanthemum was the answer. Her name is so long, said Jo. It scarcely fits on her name tag, said Rita, pointing. I'm named after my grandmother, said Victoria, and she's named after a flower. So they're being mean to her again, huh? Not being kind. Picking on her. My name is long, said Mrs. Twinkle. It is, said Jo. My name would scarcely fit on a name tag, said Mrs. Twinkle. It would, said Rita, pointing. And, said Mrs. Twinkle, I'm named after a flower too. You are, said Victoria. Yes, said Mrs. Twinkle. My name is Delphinium. Delphinium Twinkle. And if my baby is a girl, I am considering Chrysanthemum as a name because I think it's absolutely perfect. Chrysanthemum could barely believe her ears. She blushed, she beamed, and she bloomed. Chrysanthemum, chrysanthemum, chrysanthemum. So you can see that the music teacher has a baby in her belly. And she said that if she has a little girl, she wants to name her little girl Chrysanthemum. Jo, Rita, and Victoria looked at Chrysanthemum lovingly. Call me Marigold, said Jo. And I'm Carnation, said Rita. My name is Lily of the Valley, said Victoria. Chrysanthemum did not think her name was absolutely perfect. She knew it. Look at how happy she is. They stopped being so mean. That's so nice. Pictures at the end. So Chrysanthemum was a little bit different than her friends because she had a really long name and it was something that made her different than everybody else, and it is okay to be different. Is there something special about you that makes you different than other people? Think about it. There's got to be something. There's something that makes all of us different. It could be your name. It could be the color of your hair. I know we have our friend Grayson in our class, and he has beautiful orange hair. Nobody else in our class has that orange hair, so that is something different that makes him super special. And I have a little girl, and I named her Justice, and nobody else in her class has the name Justice, and she's never met anybody else with the name Justice. So that is different about her, and it makes her feel super special. So what is something that is different about you that makes you super special? I hope you enjoyed this book, and I'll see you next time, guys.